everybody, it's Chris here from Serene Education with the 4 Majors Analysis Update for the 20th of October 2011. Hi guys, just going to go over the 4 Majors, starting with Euro against US dollar on a daily time frame. Let's have a look. Okay, what do we have? Well, very interesting. I've plotted my relative strength on the daily just to give us an idea of where price is trading. If you have any idea what RSI is, then it's relative. It's called this relative strength index, plots the strength of price over a certain period of time. In this case we use a 14-1, so 14, it's plotting 14 days worth of data. All you really need to know is if it's above 50 then it's positive, if it's below 50 then it's negative. You can use the RSI for divergence convergence at the lower end or upper end of potential trend changes sentiment. So if you're in a long-term trade and you see relative strength giving a divergence or convergence, then you could potentially see the bottom or the top of a trend occurring. But in this case, seen some upside movement, and you can see that price is pulling back over the last couple of days. Bearish engulfing, followed by an indecision candle, spinning top, followed by a long wick yesterday. We saw upside momentum, almost forging higher. However, latter part of the US session, we saw price pulling all the way back down again and trading at the bottom of the candle, which dictated bearish sentiment. And sure enough, the Asian market session has seen price fall quite drastically, heading towards the 13,600 mark, which happens to bring us back to price support and resistance level around here. But I've plotted these sideways, the support and resistance levels are on prior resistance. Here, for example, price support over there, for example. So quite clearly we can see price trading in between these points, and when you have a break, then you're seeing trade, if it breaks higher, then you're seeing trade higher. So just looking, ideally we're going to see further extensions lower, and also if you, in the case of a indecision candle where you've had two here, you would like to see a decision. In this case we've seen resistance previously at the 50-period moving average. Price is lower, CTCs in our favor, as you can quite clearly see. So ultimately we should be looking for further opportunities lower. Yes, the Asian market session, European session open this morning has been bearish. Ideally we'd like to see 13,600 being breached today. A nice bearish engulfing candle would ultimately look at potentially the 13,400 mark as a potential target overall before we see 13,1500 way down here as our ultimate goal. Slight pause in between all that. Yes, there will be. Ideally there might be something around here at 13,800. Price support and resistance there, yeah, for sure. Slight hesitation, so we could see a breakout, consolidation on this area here, pull back to the underside, and then a continuation lower. That's ideally what you want to see from price action as it moves, in this case, to the downside. If we don't see a break lower, then we could find support here. Ideally we'd like to see it trading below that, so keep that in mind. All the moving averages bar the 20-period moving average at the moment, which has acted as support in the past couple of days, is the only one in the way. RSI is still above 50, guys. This is very, very important. It's still above 50, and until it trades below that, then surely we're still looking for positiveness, i.e. we could get that bounce here at 13,600. So intraday, do we have a lot of momentum? Not really. So keep a factor because the 20-period moving average is there. We got to see, look at the fundamentals to see if there's anything today that could potentially move the market for this pair. If not, then we just wait for a break of 13,600, a close lower, which would definitely dictate further downside movement, and the RSI by then will go on through the 50-period moving average. 50% RSI mark, and trading below that would definitely dictate that we're seeing further downside movement occurring. So intraday, let's have a look at intraday. Okay, 4 hours is going to be quite important. As I mentioned to you, 13,600 needs to be breached to see further extensions lower, and that, however, on our 4 hour happens to be price support and resistance, and also importantly the institution moving average. See how it all falls together, guys. CTC, however, is still positive, so we know we're still on an upside. RSI is telling us that we're still trading about 50, and as long as we're trading about 13,600, then that RSI will still remain to be bullish to the upside. Okay, so institution moving average still dictating here on our time frame. So all we're seeing is a pullback against the major upside trend, and if I just plot from the lows to the highs, where is price trading in relative to the fib retracement areas. Well, we broke through 23.6 and we are heading lower. 38.2 is the next extension here, just above the 13,600. We know that 13,6500 is a strong support and resistance, so that will be our first target intraday. Okay, so shorting opportunities to the downside still remain. Look at the hourly. Go into the hourly, you can see the CTC is definitely giving us that. If you look at the highs to the bottom of this, to the pullback, there was definitely a pullback going to the Asian session, and we see in the Asian session drop lower, shooting star at a prior resistance level. There we go, prior resistance, bang. This is a little breakout, pullback, continuation. Shooting star at resistance, and we've seen the continuation down to the bottom. Excuse me, I can't even spell my words now. Notice the institution moving average over here acting as support. We've breached to that. We are seeing some more upside movement here, more price action at the top end of the wicks. Yes, could we see consolidation now to at least the 13,7300 mark before we see extensions lower? We are looking at that as a potential setup as we stand now, or you take the wicks. Wicks or bodies, the highs or lows. Roughly there, it's the 38.2 potentially could be a target. As I mentioned to you, got to be trading below 13,6500, and look where the 100% area is at price support and resistance at that level. So see how everything just falls into place. See, that was the initial move. We had the breakout and we had the continuation. Now continuation, this part of the range will be 100% of that. Okay, people will be plotting these points, looking at this psychologically as a potential target overall, and that target is roughly where we had the price support and resistance and the 36,500. As I mentioned, it needs to break the prior long-term support. In this case, the downside to be still considered bearish. So break lower than that 100. We'll look at 161.8 as our potential target on the hourly here at the 135,550 mark. Okay, that's how it stands, guys. That's how you do it. So everything looked bearish. We are seeing bearish consolidation now on our 5-minute chart. Quite clearly see we have to see a breach of this consolidation. Price support becoming new resistance. Okay, so this range over here, we could see price going. So ideally we want one or two things. If we're going to see further momentum upside drive, then we have to see a break of 13,1500 for all you guys looking for potential targets to the upside. CTC is still negative though, so until such time as that's happened, we're still going to get red, and we should be looking for opportunities lower. 1365.80 is the area we want to see a break of, and then we can look at potentially the 1365 mark as our potential target. Why? Because overall that's going to be the bottom of the lows. There we go. That's the one we're heading towards, 136500. Nice. So see a consolidation here on our 15-minute chart, as I mentioned. Let's stick that in so you can quite clearly see support, break of that. Now we're trading in this range. See, 20 period moving average acting support, all the moving averages on the 15-minute chart looking nice and evenly spread, and you can see the price action is dictating. There we go. So we could see consolidation in this range up before we see a breakout. Ideally we see a break halfway through this range to the downside. In this case we can see still looking for further shorting opportunities. We have red, moving average well above us, all looking hunky-dory, but we're going sideways. We're consolidating against the major trend. Ideally we'd like to see a breach of this, and then ideally that would be our first potential target here at the 136500 mark. If however we see a bounce to the upside, ideally we want to see a break above the previous swing in this case. So it has to be trading above all this noise over here, way up here at 137750 to even look at potentially going long, because then by then all your moving averages and below price is trading above all that, and hopefully your CTC will give you your buy signal. So there's a lot of work it needs to do if it's to remain positive. At the moment now, looking for further bearishness, and we want to trade in the direction of the major trend, which happens to be down, not against it, with it. That's it, guys. Sterling US dollar is the next one. Cable. Okay, what's been happening? Well, a lot of congestion here, and price is going sideways, to be honest with you. CTC's part finished, blue, and CTC on the other side is still red. RSI, I have plotted RSI on here primarily just to give you an idea. We are still trading above the 50 period percent line, apologies, which still indicates we are positive. Okay, so if we're still positive, then we want to see if we need to see price actually finding support here. You can quite clearly see that we have price support and further resistance, and further support here. So if anything, if prices remain upside positive, you can see quite clearly how this is higher than that. A lot of shooting hammers here, hammering at the bottom, and we saw the RSI pretty much posting higher highs. Great, fantastic. You'll notice that the bounce, and now you can see that we're testing the highs here. For example, that high and that high. Sure, RSI is giving us indication. If this was, if price action over here was driving high and RSI was still low, then it'll tell you that the market sentiment wasn't really favoring that. But in this case, you can quite clearly see that price has failed to break above 1585 or trade higher than 1585. A lot of wicks to the upside, further indication, potential stalling. However, we would like to see a break lower than 20 period moving average, and primarily the support and resistance level here through the 1568-ish mark. RSI is trading on the 50 period moving average, so indecisive. So we have a long wick to the upside. However, price action pretty much preferring the downside of yesterday's trading range, and the same for today. Asian market session going to European session. We've seen all of yesterday's hard work pretty much being cancelled as we speak. However, we're still trading above this resistance level here. So we've got to say to ourselves, great, if you want to see further downside movement, then that area needs to be breached. Okay, because we could potentially bounce again. Why? Because we've had hesitation along this line in the past. Okay, so 1560, what do we got there? I'll just get my little icon. So we're looking at that 6, 7, 8, yeah. 1568 is going to be our intraday support and resistance level. Okay, 1568. We go to a 4 hour, 1568, that's 7, 8. Look where the institution moving average is trading now, and price support and resistance on our 4 hour. This is the reason why I love trading the 4 hour time frame, guys. You can clearly see there is a ceiling level and support level at this area here. It makes so much sense. Institution moving average for a long period of time hadn't been touched. Now we're seeing it being touched on a number of occasions. We've seen upside of it. Yeah, has it hung on? No. Price tried to test those highs again at 15,8,500, failed, and we've seen a resistance level at that area, which happened to coincide with prior consolidation, and we're trading back down again. If it remains above the 15,6,800 mark and the institution and all the moving averages, then there's potential for further upside to occur. If it breaks through that convincingly, we could see price return to touch or trade to the underside, and that's exactly what we want to see. Breakout, pullback, and then a continuation in the direction where price has come from. Okay, so as it stands now, where we're trading in conjunction to quite a strong support and resistance level, too close. Well, so what do? We wait patiently. Okay, we don't want to be trading against the resistance level here. There's quite clearly a support and resistance level in this area, and you can see quite clearly if you had gone short over here, 60 in our favor, you would have been triggered into a trade going short only for you to be stopped out because prices pulled back again. Not worth it. So, what do we want to see? Support being forged here, like another hammer for example, and then we could look at 15,8,500 as our first potential target. We are still trading, as I mentioned on the daily, above the 50% line on the RSI, so relative strength is still looking positive even though we are seeing sideways consolidation. It's the same on our 4 hour. We are seeing sideways consolidation. We're still up. Higher swings dictates price. This previous swing is still on par with this one, so we haven't broken lower. The swing isn't lower than that. So as it remains going, so if you're seeing the swings all in the same area, then we are consolidating. It's that simple. Highs are still on par with the previous one, so no highs. So we're still consolidating. There is a box here. Nice, fresh looking box. One of our students will be laughing at me because I tend to put these out there. It just, keeps me out of trouble. So I say to myself, great, if price is looking positive favor because we have seen a bounce recently and we're making higher highs, cool. All it needs to do now is find support at this level here, and we could see potentially another attempt at the highs. However, long term, if we're looking for definite price action to occur, cable needs to be trading above 15,8,500 to look at ultimately 1,600 as our first potential target, because that psychologically is our daily long-term support and resistance. Because remember, we have been trading short for a longer period of months. Okay, and we've broken through the 1,600 quite sharply in those months. So since early Jan, Feb, March, right up until now, we're trading above the institution moving average and above the 1,600. Now we're trading below it. So all we could be seeing over in the bigger picture is the breakout, the pullback, the failed pullback at 1500 or thereabouts, and a continuation lower. Okay, so notice 50 and 200 here touching. We could see a bounce. If we do see a break of 158500, then we look at 1600. It's got to do a lot of work to get above 1600. Is anything fundamentally out there is giving us an indication that we could be seeing it? Everything's looking crap out there, excuse my French. Okay, so for price to be trading above 1600, it's going to take a lot of work, a lot of momentum, a lot of psychological changes in sentiment, because at the moment now everything is looking fuddy-duddy out there. Okay, so trade what the charts are telling you. Consolidation. If there's a consolidation, we want to see a break of that consolidation, and then we trade that consolidation. Okay, you can see the same thing here at resistance, for example. Notice we went into this period here of consolidation on the underside of a price support. Consolidate, because consolidate, we want to see a break higher to confirm further extensions to 15800 or 1600 to the institution moving average. Break low would confirm that we should be looking for shorting opportunities to the downside. What did it do? Break lower, candlesticks dictated that, CTC in our favor, and bang, we hit our first target. Got to make it simple. Okay, guys. Next pair is the US dollar against Swiss franc. Good old Swissy. What's been happening on this particular pair? Well, we've seen price pull back over the last couple of days. However, we saw a price support and resistance level being tested recently. Quite clearly see here there's a bounce at 8900. Just make it nice and thick so you can see it. So let's get that in. Price support, breakout, slight pullback, continuation. Here again, resistance, and price fell lower. Here, support, resistance, broke above institution moving average with momentum higher. Didn't go as far as previously planned. Why? Because it went smack bang into prior support and resistance here at 9200. So I can put that also in so you guys can clearly see prior support, breakout, next part, up, down, down. So you can see price has been pretty much trading in this consolidation range. Then we saw bearish engulfing, and if that was the case, then obviously price support would have been your first potential target. Yes, we did. We saw a slight pullback and then continuation lower. Now we saw support. Then we had this bullish engulfing candle here at a support area at 8900. Didn't close lower. It traded lower, but didn't close. And in doing so, closing up here, this candle here engulfed all of this indecision here, and we are seeing price heading slightly higher tentatively. Indecision the prior day, but still making high highs. All the moving averages below us, which is most importantly. The only thing that's really wrong with this is we have a red candle. So we are still in the consolidation range. Okay, we need to be trading at least above the 9300 in this particular chart to be trading higher. However, CTC is still in our favor. Institution moving up below us, and we are trading above the institution moving average for the first time in a very long period, since August of last year. So almost a full year's gone by, and now we've seen total change. Higher swings dictates price action. Notice if I plot my trend line on here, where price is trading in conjunction with this upside trend on my daily. Bounce, and we're still trading above it. So see that bounce, and that would 9200 would potentially be our first target on this pair. Yes, it's moving slowly, tentatively to the upside, but it's still moving nonetheless to the upside. You can see there is a price support and resistance at the 9100 mark, so be aware of it. Okay, we have been there. We have seen slight consolidation, breakout, consolidation. So be aware of it. Okay, so 9100 we've got consolidation above us, and 8090 we have support below us. Okay, so you can put those in our small time frames. 9100 above us, price support and resistance, so we can see consolidation there, and the 8900 below us as support and resistance on our 4 hour. Look at that, you can see quite clearly support and resistance on this time frame. 4 hour resistance, support, and institution moving average trading below us. Here again, you can plot in your support and resistance level, see the extensions of here, for example, trend line. There we go. Where's price trading in conjunction with the trend line and institution moving average? Above it. So, which means we should still see further extensions higher because of that. Very, very important. Okay. So, moving higher, very tentatively though. This is what happens on the Swiss franc. It doesn't really move with a lot of guts, so only when there's talk of intervention or when somebody pegs their currency quite quickly. Notice prior support over here is a new resistance So we have ceiling level, and we get close to that. So we could see consolidation. Here again, look at the fundamentals. We could see consolidation in play now. So is anything on Swiss franc to really be trading at this time frame? Not really, because we want to be trading above the 9100 to see further extensions higher. And as I mentioned, the 9300 would be your overall target. CTC, however, is blue on this time frame. The only thing we will really want to get over is the 9100 mark. Bullish engulfing to the upside. Find support here going into the US session, and we'll trade higher. Until then, consolidation here would potentially look at the trend line being another target, potential target. Notice we have price support, resistance, and we're trading above it now. So we are trading in this consolidation range between the 90, above the 90 and the 91. We are in a consolidation range. Two things have got to happen. We are trading above the trend line to the upside, perfect, and we have this major support below. So everything on this time frame is looking upside favorable. We have a support below us. We have a trend line support below us. We have the institution moving average below us. We have all the moving averages below us. All looking positive. CTC is in our favor. So how many eggs do we have in our basket? Quite a few. The only thing that really needs to break above is the 9100. Break above 9100, a lot of free air between there and 9300. That's it. Last pair of the day is US dollar Japanese yen. Let's have a look at the daily. Yee, 2 full days of dojis, guys. A lot of indecision above us and a lot of indecision right now. Notice the wick's not going higher than 77.50, and the body's not going higher than those, the previous ones. And now we can see a very small trading range. Asian market, European session open has been trading lower. Moving averages, both 50 and 20 are flat. Dojis, indecision, flat. Sheesh, you got to have bloody patience to trade this pair. Okay, so what's going to happen? Well, if we can see price trading lower than these wicks, quite silly, there is consolidation. There happens to be quite a lot of consolidation in this area here at the 76.60 mark or 65 mark. Then we could potentially see price action going into the US session, looking for favorable downside. The only thing wrong with this one on the daily is we have blue, and red, so no consistency here whatsoever. Ideally, I'm just saying a lot of indecision. We have a bearish over here. We know that there seems to be a bit of a sticking point to the upside. If this was to continue higher, then obviously we would have seen a pullback at this psychological 77.50 mark, because we had some before. But ideally, this candle here would have popped higher, and we should have seen extensions higher. The fact that we saw further resistance just confirms that we don't really want to be trading any higher, and we're looking for further downside movement. So ideally, everything's stacking up for further downside, and we should be looking for opportunities to the downside if that's the case. So got to say to yourself, cool, indecision, need a decision candle. If we are trading, you can see that the Asian market going into European session this morning is still trading lower than yesterday's close. Then we would like to see a break below these wicks over here, which happen to be price support. If you can break below that, it's at 76.50 in my eyes. If we see a close between 76.50 going to the US session, then ultimately 76.10 would be our next potential target. That should reflect on intraday. Wow, what can I say? Look at this 4 hour. Man, you got to be popping pills to actually trade this. Absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, well, where do I start? That's one of the reasons why I don't like trading it that much. You got to have patience. Okay, as I mentioned, 76.50, got to get below that to see any when I say to trade in clean air, well, to trade some sort of clean air, because there happens to be less happening down here below 76.50, as you can quite clearly see. Yes, we have seen this, but you're seeing a lot more price action happening at the top end of here. Very, very indecisive. 76.50 we know is the high. Any upside movement got to be trading above that, and any downside movement got to be trading below 76.50. That's it. Trades close lower than 76.50, then there's likelihood of further extensions lower. All the moving averages at the moment now are trading above price action. Okay, bearish engulfing, but we have seen bearish engulfing going sideways, and you can see it's consolidating in this area here. So not very, very, very cool. Very I hate it. But yeah, clear resistance here at 76.85 to start off with 90. Got to get above that to look at upside bullish to 77.50 if anything. And ideally you want to be trading below 76.50 to get out of this mess, to trade cleanish air on this pair, which happens to be quite small at the moment. So there again, it's your choice, guys. This one, yeah, you can trade, but man, you got to pop pills to trade it. That's the way I look at it. But yeah, that's it. I'm not going to go any further on this pair because it's just crazy. But just look at your fundamentals to see if anything's going to drive it. At the moment now, everything's looking bearish. We have seen a failure at this level here. We've seen price trying to break above it and a very, very strong pullback. It's got to be trading above 77.50 to be looking positive anyway, and it's looking, well, we've seen a lot of consolidation on the underside of all the moving averages, including the institution, which is pretty much depicting further downside. But got to get below that 76.50, I think, personally, to see at least a 76.10 being reattempted soon. If not, well, then consolidation again, not point trading. Take care, guys. Have a fantastic trading day. Keep it simple. Make sure that you apply money management, very strict money management rules to these setups, and keep it simple. That's all I can say. Till then, trade serene.